J.J. McKeever here for Common Sense. First thing I want to talk about today is the fact that I'm a history buff. I'm very fond of American history, and the Revolutionary War is the favorite era I like to study and read about. So for me, visiting Williamsburg, Virginia for a week was the equivalent of a chocoholic bathing in a vat of milk chocolate for an entire day. You know, there are many places in the original 13 colonies that were important in the creation of our country. Williamsburg probably does the best job of replicating the way of life of 250 years ago and explaining how everyone is affected by those turbulent times. I'll be doing a few videos reflecting on what struck me on my week away last week, but today I want to talk about what I learned about what happens when the government doesn't listen to the people. Don't forget, the 13 colonies were England. Sure, there was a lot of ocean between the mother country and her possessions, but we were still English subjects. That government's power was manifested through King George III. You have to remember that for centuries the king or queen's word was law. The British government was constructed then to support that notion, so George couldn't understand why his loyal subjects, us, were flipping him off. Now I'm giving you a very simplified version of this. Just as now, back then, there are many motivations propelling the new American government on. Freedom, economic concerns, greed, power, same as today. Let's face it, whenever you get several people together, their motivations vary. Listening to the various colonial characters play their part to the hilt in Williamsburg, you realize that the common element that brought everyone together back then was the potential for a better life. That meant breaking away from England and tearing off the bonds of a government telling each colonist what they were supposed to do, how they were going to do it, and when they were going to do it. Listening to debate by people dressed in 18th century garb and using words pulled from actual speeches and letters is inspiring. The passion these actors use in their roles is contagious. You want to pick up a musket and run with George Washington to battle the British at Yorktown. I guess what struck me is how men and women suffered and gambled their lives on a massive roll of the dice. It could just as easily came up craps, and we'd be singing God Save the Queen before cricket matches instead of the Star-Spangled Banner at baseball games. There are incredible leaders, brave men, and I believe the hand of God that enabled the United States to come into existence. Now you look at the mess of an election we are in this year. People are rallying to people who you normally wouldn't elect dog catcher if you had a choice. And why? Because people want to tear off the bonds of a government telling each colonist, citizen, what they are supposed to do, how they are going to do it, and when they're going to do it. There's an anger out there, and it can get as volatile as 1776 if our elected leaders don't start looking in the mirror at the bullshit they call governance and how it is affecting the country. Look, you need a government. Anarchy doesn't work. Even after the dust settled after the Revolution, the Founding Fathers realized that. At that point, we had a half-assed system in place and it wasn't working. So you get the Constitution and Convention together, form a blueprint for a government and let it fly. After Civil War, a couple world wars, tons of economic and social issues, and here we are in 2016. The difference between now and the past 235 years or so is a feeling of deafness among our elected officials to the people who elected them. The thing about Williamsburg is that you could run into a patriot on the street or in a tavern and have a dialogue with them. Sure, it's an act and they're actors, but they do these performances so that you can feel what it was like back then. Those leaders sometimes led the people to what they wanted, but they also listened to the people. It's that second part that's missing today. I'm not saying we're headed to another revolution, but if our government doesn't start listening to the people and leading on their behalf, another powder keg may be lit. In their arrogance, I am sure that they will be fortified knowing that King George III felt that he was just as invincible as they are.